Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, The Road to Human Kindness. We've been talking about social security for a very long time on our show, and we are trying to get national recognition for the terminology. We're trying to get national recognition for the whole idea of 664. And so I wanted to let you know that we're going to be doing interviews now. The interviews will be playing on our podcast on Spotify. We've been able to secure some very interesting interviews with people that are important in the their role in government, their past role in government. I did an interview recently with the former Comptroller General of the United States, David Walker, with regard to this whole topic of social security and what to do with Social Security. Here's a little bit of that interview. You're very well versed in this, and I know you have credentials. You're in the Hall of Fame, the Accounting Hall of Fame. You're in the Security Hall of Fame. You have the background. What is your take? How do you change this? How do you solve this problem? Is what we're talking about, Social Security, a possibility where you're using the charitable trusts to create the potential retirement plan? Is that something that you think is viable?
I think it's something that ought to be seriously considered. The truth is, Les, is that, we've got so many challenges right now. We've got a macro challenge with regard to the government's finances overall. We've got a micro challenge with regard to the Social Security system. We've got another micro challenge with regard to the Medicare, system, if you will. And I think that people tend to focus on the bigger challenges rather than the other opportunities that might exist. So I think it's something that needs to be considered, but I don't think it's going to be given the same degree of priority as some of these other things until we get past them.
Yeah, we've got the reason we're suggesting this, and we think it has to be brought into the system slowly, starting at age 18, and then when you're age 18, you enroll in this system, and gradually it'll replace the Social Security system. But the thing about it that I think is important, and I want to get your take on it, because I know Bush had made a recommendation of a self-directed account.
Yes.
And one of the things that, of course, is different about a self-directed account is that there's a corpus at the end of the day, and that corpus would be belonging to the people that the person wanted it to go to, and kind of takes away from the idea of the social benefit. And so the reason why we think the charitable trust would help is because a charitable trust at the end of the day is going to go into the community, into the charitable sector. And you can see the rest of that interview where we get into more detail and with David Walker. You can see that on our Spotify podcast. It'll be coming up soon. I'm joined today by Wanda. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about the course material that we've been doing.
Goody.
We did well.
Putting on that professor hat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we've been testing the course and make sure that it's working properly, and we've been finishing up the chapters as we go along. It takes a little bit of time to do those, but I want to talk about the chapters that we have that people may not be aware of, why we've created the ambassador program the way we have. So we want to have some financial literacy education resource.
Yeah.
So we talk about some very basic things like homeowners, like automobile insurance.
Primarily taxes.
Well, taxes are important, but you need to be able to protect yourself against the 5 hazards.
Yeah.
And that's one of the chapters that we have is 5 hazards, and everybody's exposed to the same 5 hazards. We talk about it as dying too soon.
No.
Getting sick and the cost of medical care. No. Losing your property by theft or destruction. No, another horrible thing.
Me.
And being sued by third parties where they can, try and take everything on. But then the one of living too long.
Oh. What's that, Les?
Yeah. Why is living too long a hazard? Why is it a hazard?
Because you didn't plan on it, first of all.
Yeah.
So you don't maybe not have the money set
Yeah.
aside for that long living?
Yeah, you run out of money, and running out of money is what ruins everybody's life in a sense. Unfortunately, money is important. So one of the philosophies of the endowment engineering objectives is to create an endowment income that will last as long as the individual lives, to allow that individual to live in the lifestyle that they become accustomed to without having to make any changes during their lifetime.
Do endowments take into account inflation?
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah, they take into account inflation because when you're building the endowment account, you're utilizing the markets. You can utilize any part of the investment markets to build what you want in the endowment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really a really important question, because people, they're seeing what inflation can do now and what it has done. Hopefully it'll get under control, but the problem is that it takes away your buying power. So if you had a fixed amount of money every year coming in, and that's really, Social Security does make some changes for that. They have a consumer price index bump in the Social Security. They took that into account. Unfortunately, the bump wasn't as big as the inflation, so people fall behind.
That?
Well, because it's really not measured that way. It was measured, inflation got out of control and really exceeded the consumer price index adjustment that Social Security was
Is
making.
that just greed?
No, I think it's just a miscalculation, and it's been a miscalculation in the way that they've operated the Social Security system for a long time. You know, that's part of the problem is that anytime you have a retirement program, which that is, it's a supplemental retirement program. Unfortunately, probably 50% of the country that's on retirement is relying on their Social Security. But when you've built something that large, it needs to be actuarially sound, and I don't think that it was ever contemplated to be run or operated the way it was or the way it is. And so, yeah, I think you're seeing that's what you're seeing as a deficit in the way that Social Security operates. So I think that there's a better system, and the better system is the Social Security system, which is what we were talking about with David.
Yeah.
And that does help it helps greatly to solve the problem of living too long, that other hazard. But I wanted to go back to the chapters because I want you to understand that we have a way, what we were doing is a way of helping you get to the point where you can start to deal with the issue of living too long without having hazards of other things fall in the way.
We want you to be able to plan on living forever.
It's a possibility.
It could happen.
There may be a lot of people on the planet at some point, but
Then what do you do?
yeah, you have to be crowded. So your opportunity to learn how to wend your way through the very important things that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis are also in the course, in the ambassador course at Discovery 664 Academy. And what we want you to be able to do is to deal with the 5 hazards and protect yourself against those 5 hazards so that they don't interfere with your ability to build your endowment. When we talk about endowment, it's a term that people kind of associate with only charity.
We're bringing it back.
But endowment is something that everybody builds.
Yeah.
You know, if you accumulate property, accumulate stocks, you're accumulating whatever assets you're accumulating, that's really your own endowment, and that's going to produce the income that you're going to need to live on. So creating endowment income is important, and if you can create it in a very tax-effective way, which is what the Social Security system does, the Social Security using charitable trusts allows you to accumulate the assets to produce the income in the best way from a tax perspective, and that
664.
gives you a big advantage. Pardon?
664.
Yeah.
There's the number. Don't forget.
664. It's all right on your shirt. Social
Something
Security.
I like to wear my shirt on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Something on my sleeve. Something.
So
Things I love on my sleeve.
yeah, we have been working with the Salvation Army a little bit to try and get this across for them to use. They know about it, obviously. They've been using it for many, many years, but we're drawing more attention to the idea that you have to accept 664 as a viable tool, and 664 is something that is very good for all nonprofit organizations. And it's one of the ways that we're going to help to solve the debt problem in the country as well. Our objective with Endow America is to get the country from an indebted America to an endowed America, and we think that you can do it with this process. And the organizations that do good work for the community, the nonprofit organizations that are out there helping every day, dealing with the problems in the community, like the Salvation Army does, they would be supported greatly by the endowments that are built by the individuals and then left to them. Not that you'd leave everything to the Salvation Army, but obviously that may be one of the nonprofit organizations that benefits. So what we're doing is we're going to have a booth at their regatta coming up.
Yes, we're going to have a booth, a dunking booth.
I got a feeling it's who's going to be on the chair. Yeah.
It could be fun.
Yeah, pie throwing contest. Anyway, I understand it's a beautiful event, and it's $150. So it is a very high level.
Yourselves.
Yeah, really good food.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks regattas. It's all the seafood and the. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really, really nice event. It's on March 8th, and it's at the J.M. Moran Park in Deerfield Beach.
Yeah.
And it runs from, I think it's from 6 to 10. 6 to 10. We'll be there. Wanda and I will be there. And Wanda will have some of her books are available.
There's a silent auction, I believe, too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So if you want to buy some cruise tickets or things like that, I'm sure there'll be a lot of things.
These are all my favorite things.
So join us on March 8th. Make a plan to join us. Make your reservation and pay your $150. It's good benefit for the Salvation Army, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. So Salvation Army is just one of the nonprofit organizations. There are a lot of them. And one of the other things that we have in the course is how do you determine who to give gifts to, What charities, what do you need to know in order to support a charity? And that's something that we explain in one of the chapters in our course, the Ambassador course. I think it's important for you to know how to do that properly. You want to make sure that they're a legitimate organization. You want to make sure that they're using the money properly, and there are ways that you can find that out from resources, and we talk about that in the course. I think unfortunately, there's a kind of a misunderstanding about when nonprofit organizations have to declare their transparency, or how do they make their become transparent. And they do that through filings. Every year, our organization, Endow America Network Foundation, has to file a tax return with the IRS where we disclose all of the contributions that we've received and how we're spending money and who runs the organization. So it's very transparent. We are also listed in the Charity Navigator, and that's another place where you can go to find out more about an organization. This is your opportunity to determine where you want to leave the endowment that you've created, but you also want to support them now. And one of the things that we use in the social charity realm is the pooled income fund concept, where we have a proprietary pooled income fund where we have a way for providing current gifts as well as endowment gifts from the donor creating their own pooled income fund account. So pooled income fund account is really valuable because it allows you to make charitable gifts of not only cash but also appreciated assets like appreciated stock or real estate, or a collection or whatever else is appreciated in value. When you have that appraised, then you can give that to a pooled income fund. When the pooled income fund liquidates that asset, the pooled income fund doesn't pay any capital gains tax. And so the full value of that is what's going to produce income for your income endowment. You also get a tax deduction, which is an additional bonus. You don't get a tax deduction for the full amount, but you get a tax deduction for the amount that's based on your age, the age of the income beneficiary, and the interest rates that are being published by the government, the AFR rates. So you have a way of getting a tax break very simply because you can use it in a pooled income fund which already exists, rather than have to create a charitable trust, for example, on your own. You can utilize the trust that the charity has created, and that is a way for you to make charitable gifts that are also going to build your endowment income. And it's an easy process. You can do it for your gifts don't have to be tremendous gifts. They can be as little as $10,000 gifts. And what you're doing is you're buying an interest in that charitable pooled income fund, and that interest produces income. So it's an income-producing arrangement, and it can be immediate. There are some that are deferred. It just depends on what your situation is. And that is why the endowment engineer is becoming more and more important, because endowment engineering has to do with how you create those endowments, how you utilize those tools to make your endowment growth better, with less tax, with more protection, because when you put things into these devices, you are protecting them. You're protecting them. They're getting asset protected from, you can't lose it to creditors. You can't lose it to a bad marriage. You can't lose it to, you can't even.
Can't lose it to a good marriage.
You can't even break into it yourself. And it's one of the things I talked about with David Walker in that interview, by the way, which is going to be on our Spotify podcast. We talked about the fact that one of the reasons why they haven't done anything is because some of the suggestions that they've been making allow people to actually get access to what they're building.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a problem. With Social Security, there's no question. I mean, your employer is putting money in, you're putting money in, you never see it, you never know how much money is in there, you don't have any access to it. Eventually it's going to give you income. But in other words, if you had hard times, you can't go to the government and say, I'd like to have $10,000, please, so I can do it. But you can do that if you have your own account. And that's part of the problem with some of these self-directed solutions to Social Security. That's why we think the charitable trust solution, the idea of social charity, is a better idea because it prevents the individual from robbing from themselves in the future. And I know that may be a limiting factor for people who want to have access to it. But if you're building something that's going to create an endowment income, you want to make sure that it's going to work. And that's why it's a part of, planning to live too long.
Discovery664.com. I just thought I'd throw that in there in case you want to go visit. Not right now, but when we're done.
Yeah, Discovery664.com.
Or put us on pause.
Discovery664.com.
I know.
All right.
Tell us
so
about more courses.
What's going on with your furry friends? Are you doing anything to?
No, none have been dropped off as of late, so I'm encouraged.
Okay.
There's a lot out there though, but I'm always helping other shelters get the information out. But yeah.
Are you going to formalize that someday and become a 501c3?
When I get a bigger spot, that is my maybe that'll be my motivation. Or I can start small.
Well, you create a donor advised fund.
Yeah, you were telling me about
which is immediately creating a charity.
Yeah.
And you can get people to contribute to that, and you can use that to operate, when you have your nonprofit out there.
All right, then. Sign you up.
I'm going to make you a star.
Oh. Okay, then. If it's for the dogs.
Yeah.
For the love of it.
Yes. So I wanted to...
Is that a course?
Yeah. We have a course in donor advised funds. Actually, no, we don't have a course in donor advised funds.
Check off. All right.
Yeah, we have a course that tells you the difference between a donor advised fund and a pooled income fund. Two terms you're probably maybe not familiar with. So
can we create a course for me, just for me?
Yeah, just for you on how to use a donor advised fund to help furry friends.
Yeah.
That'll be the title of the course. Furry friend helping.
Well, it doesn't have to be furry. Maybe just friends.
Okay.
They could be furry.
Yeah. Well, if they end up at your place, they're usually furry,
You can have human friends that are furry. You're still good.
All right. So we got a lot of things going on, and there'll be more of the interviews that we're doing will be aired on our podcast on Spotify at discovery664.com.
Yep.
And you'll be able to follow what we're trying to create. It's a quantum change in a national financial picture. Our ambassador program is designed to educate you in the very basic things about financial planning, as well as the very detailed things in financial planning with regard to how to handle various types of charitable issues with regard to saving taxes. So we have a course that has to do with commercial real estate. We have a course chapter that deals with appreciated stock, a chapter that deals with retained earnings in a C corporation. So we get into some of the weeds in there. But if you look at the menu when you go to the ambassador site at discovery664.com, the ambassador courses that are laid out there, you'll see the menu of all of the different things that we're helping to educate you about and make you more aware of it. And we have tests. If you like to do Wordle.
Are there certain tests just for ambassadors? Then you have to go on to become an endowment engineer? How does that work?
The tests on the ambassador courses are not required. You can watch the chapter and then take the course if you want to. The course is to help you become, know that you're familiar with what we're talking about, that you understand it, that you're comprehending it, and what it means. So the tests are important there, but ultimately, if you want to become an endowment engineer, we require you to have 100% on all of the tests in the ambassador section, and then we know that you're qualified to move ahead to take the certification test for endowment engineering, which is a much broader test. We also, in the endowment engineering side, we're going to be having the chapters in blueprinting, which are very important. Endowment engineers know how to blueprint to save tax problems. And the reason for the blueprints are important. Just like when you build a house, you need to have an architectural plan, an architectural drawing. Otherwise, you don't know how it's going to come out. So the same thing is true with blueprinting for philanthropic gifts and blueprinting to save taxes on particular situations. That blueprint is a model that you can, or the schematic that you can show to your advisors, so that the advisors, everybody understands how the process is going to work. And those blueprints are really important. So endowment engineering, the concept of endowment engineering, or the profession of endowment engineering, is helping to create the solution to problems that you have with regard to tax planning, the 5 hazard planning, and the whole concept of philanthropy. And that's what we're all about. Philanthropy is love of mankind and
love of humanity.
Yeah, we want love and humanity, and you can accomplish all of that.
Folks.
You can accomplish all that with gifts that are meaningful.
Yeah. Once again, discovery664.com. You can find out all about the courses and more
Yes.
at Discovery664.
And you'll be able to see that interview with David Walker in full.
Yeah.
The former Comptroller General of the United
next
States
day or
under
two.
Bush and Clinton.
Yeah. Look at him, all bipartisan.
He was bipartisan, yeah.
Look at him. Back in the day, they used to walk like that. Walker, David Walker. It's a joke. I'm so good at those.
So take care.
But I wanted to show. We had that video from the last year of the regatta.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so this
yummy.
is what you'll get to see if you join us on March 8th. At the regatta in Deerfield Beach with the Salvation Army at JM Park. And it's on March 8th at 6 o'clock. It's $150. You can check it out online. I think it's right there.
It's yummy. Watch.
Welcome to the first annual Red Show Regatta. My name is Kurt Nichols. I'm the chairman of the advisory board, and I'm so excited about tonight. The regatta tonight is about bringing people together and supporting and celebrating Plymouth Colony. Plymouth Colony is one of the most important transitional homeless shelters in Broward County. Salvation Army does an amazing job, and it's important that we all stand together and celebrate what they've accomplished and support their future growth.
exciting moment. We've been working on this for a long time. The Salvation Army of Broward County. We're thrilled to see everyone gathered here tonight to celebrate, to come out not only for fun, but for philanthropy, to invest in a cause that's bigger than all of us, but together we can make an impact.
The program has been immensely successful, over a 90% success rate, so we're here supporting that effort tonight, and it's going to be beautiful.
With this event, we plan to help our housing project, Plymouth Colony. We have 38 apartments that house families that don't have a place to stay, and we hope to sponsor each family for the rest of the year, or at least 2 years more. And we hope to see you soon, and thank you for all the support.
Looks like a good time.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out Regatta because
Is that a
JM Park is
party?
inland, and then I see the little boats. Now I know what the regatta was all about.
Hey, you can turn anything into a regatta. Just put some water around. It's Florida. Come on. It's regattas.
And they have I guess they have the little power sailboats, the remote control sailboats.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting. Okay, it'll be a lot of fun. Join us there.
A lot of food.
Come out and
Did I mention that there'll be food there?
Yeah.
Some shrimp.
Yep.
Love it.
So let's wrap up with a discussion a little bit about the whole concept of being kind to one another and changing the world for the better.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Why?
Why should we do that, or why is it the way
All
it
of the
is?
above.
Yeah.
No, not why it's the way it is. I know. Well, I don't know, but I assume because we're all just.
Do you think things are getting better or not?
Well, I have to believe that things are getting better somewhere,
Yeah.
somehow. I mean, I just believe in the natural progression of things towards light.
Okay.
We're always moving towards the light. But, we've got to go through some rough spots. They always say that, it's like giving birth. You're heading towards the light and you don't realize everything's about to change. Oh my gosh, birth. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, that light and the first
That
breath,
light, you're like,
especially when that guy whacked me on the butt.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I was not prepared for this.
But I was hanging upside down, which I didn't understand.
Yeah, but
So
they took care of us, most of us.
this is very primal.
Hey, sometimes we get there.
Well, I think that the world has moved into as we've talked about in the chapters, a chapter on the 5. I don't know if that was on Spotify. I think it was the 5 organizing structures of humankind, where we started out as tribal, and then we became religious because they wrote the great books, and then religiosity lasted for a long time until Gutenberg invented movable type in the
that
1400s.
control,
That was a
man.
big guy. He was a big guy, huge. So he invented movable type and changed the world from a religious world to a political world. And the political world was who controlled the most people, most land, the gold. And that really lasted until all the way until the middle of mid-50s, when the United States was trying to invent the worst weapon of mass destruction, the hydrogen bomb, and they had to invent the microchip in order to be able to do that. That changed the world drastically, as much more than Gutenberg's movable type. And then
The bomb.
well, and then also, the Nixon taking the dollar off the gold standard changed the world from being political to really being economic. And I think we're in an economic world now, and I think what you're going to see is countries are not going to fight with each other. The Dutch and the English had wars forever until they started trading with each other. When they started trading with each other, that changed the whole picture, and they became friends, because you don't want to have a war with your trading partners.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're at now. I think that we've got a leg up on all of that. It's been going on, this transition has been going on for a while, and I think what you're seeing is the political world is still trying to hang on a little bit, and we want to change that.
Oh boy, are they?
Yeah. So we're a part of that. Social Charity, Discovery664.com.